My name is Mike, and this is the Hot Seat. On today's show, on the Hot Seat today, is the Democrats shot down the Keystone Pipeline due to environmental concerns. At least that's one of their arguments. And folks, I want to give a little education on this pipeline here, because I think we're being led to believe that if we have the pipeline go through, we're going to have disasters to our climate and or resources. So I just want to share this with you. Crude oil is subdivided into gathering lines and trunk lines. First, gathering lines are very small pipelines, usually 2 to 8 inches in diameter, in the areas of the country in which crude oil is found deep within the earth. It is estimated that there are between 30,000 to 40,000 miles of these small gathering lines located primarily in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Wyoming, with small systems in a number of other oil-producing states. These small lines gather the oil from many wells, both onshore and offshore, and connect to larger trunk lines measuring from 8 to 24 inches in diameter. Trunk lines include very large lines, such as the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System, which is 48 inches in diameter. And I'm going to explain why this Keystone Pipeline could be environmentally hazardous is a bunch of nonsense. 48 inches in diameter, the Alaskan Pipeline. The larger cross-country crude oil transmission pipelines bringing crude oil from producing areas to refineries. There are approximately 55,000 miles of crude oil trunk lines in the U.S. So let's look at this, okay? We've got gathering lines between 30,000 and 40,000 miles throughout the United States. We've got 55,000 miles of the larger trunk lines running through the United States. So if we add them up, folks, we have just under 100,000 miles of oil gathering and trunk oil lines throughout the entire United States. And to put this into perspective, the Earth's circumference is 250,000 miles. Okay? So we've got almost 100,000 miles worth of pipeline flowing through the entire continent of the United States, and yet the Democrats would lead us to believe that the Keystone Pipeline, which would produce tens of thousands of jobs, which would make us truly more oil independent, but no, it's a danger to the environment. The next group of oil pipelines are those carrying refined petroleum products, gasoline, jet fuel, home heating oil, and diesel fuel. These refined product pipelines vary in size from relatively small 8 to 12 inch diameter lines up to 42 inches in diameter. And I want you to keep those large numbers in perspective. 42 inches, 48 inches in diameter, the Alaska Pipeline. The total mileage nationwide of refined products pipeline is, again, approximately 95,000 miles. These pipelines deliver petroleum products to large fuel terminals with storage tanks to be loaded into tanker trucks. Trucks cover the last few miles to make local deliveries to gas stations and homes. Major industries, airports, and electrical power generation plants are supplied directly by the pipeline. On June 23, 2010, 50 Democrats in Congress, in a letter to Secretary of State Madam Hillary, warned that building this pipeline has the potential to undermine America's clean energy future, and that's really going well, and international leadership on climate change. Right. The UN dictates policies to this country now. In a speech to the Canadian Club in Toronto on September 23, 2011, Joe Oliver, Canada's Minister of Natural Resources, sharply criticized opponents of oil sands development and the pipeline, arguing that the total area that has been affected by surface mining represents only 0.1% of Canada's boreal forest. Oil sands account for about 0.1% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Electricity plants powered by coal in the U.S. generate almost 40 times more greenhouse gas emissions than Canada's oil sands. The coal-fired electricity plants in the state of Wisconsin alone produces the equivalent of the entire GHG emissions of the oil sands. California bitumen is more GHG intensive than the oil sands. Now, folks, the reason why I say to you, think about the 48 inches in diameter with Alaska, and think about pipelines we already have installed that are up to 40 inches in diameter. The Keystone Pipeline is designed to be 36 inches in diameter. So if we haven't had massive explosions and climate disruptions in Alaska, we haven't had any in the continental United States yet. The only thing we had was an offshore oil drilling incident off the Gulf of Mexico by BP, also known as British Petroleum. You know, no surprise there. So this fallacy that we have to shoot down this project due to climate conditions and natural resources is garbage. It's absolute garbage. I will include the link to the article I'm speaking about in the description field. Feel free to read the whole thing. And I just want to say one last thing. This green energy crap is a farce. This global warming is nonsense. Ever since this was exposed as nonsense, has anyone ever heard from Al Gore? I mean, where is he? He was the spokesman for global warming. He made millions of dollars off of this con job, and where is he? Nowhere. Just like Obama's green energy plan is nowhere, just like global warming is nowhere, it's a bunch of crap. This is an agenda, folks, to tear America down. We have to stop this by voting third party. My name is Mike, and this is the Hot Seat.